Hello, I'm Neon Geode, and today I am going to be planning and building an oversized birthday cake to celebrate 5 years of my Forever World. What you see in front of you now is my new pixel shape generator tool that I've just launched, and that's what I'm going to be using to help me plan. But first, I'm going to hop into my creative world to show you what I've come up with so far. I'm planning to base this off the Minecraft cake, except I'm going to make it have 3 tiers. So I placed down a cake with a candle on it so that I can get a good look. I can see that the texture of the cake is 14 pixels wide by 8 pixels tall. So that's what I placed out in front of me at double scale. I used orange terracotta and regular terracotta for the cake, and then white terracotta and white concrete for the frosting. And I'll use red concrete for the sprinkles or whatever these are on top, maybe berries, I don't know. So I'm pretty happy with that block palette and how that looks. But what I'm realizing is that if I'm going to have 3 tiers, I think I'll want the base tier to be a bit wider than it is right now. So instead of 14 times 2 equals 28 blocks wide, I'll have 14 times 3 equals 42 blocks wide, but I'll keep the same height. And then for the candle, I came up with this design using concrete with a campfire in the center, and then red and orange and yellow concrete for the flame. For 5 years of my Forever World, I'll have 5 candles on top of the cake. I think I'll do 5 different colors, probably cool colors like blues and purples and greens to contrast with the flame of the candle. So next, I'm going to decide where I want to build the cake. I'm out at my creative island, which is a large mushroom island that I completely flattened out so that I could do creative style builds in my Forever World. I have a time-lapse video of the entire process of flattening this island. So if I can figure out what I'm doing, there should be a link up about now in one of the corners of the video. If not, please check out the description for a link. I think I want to build this somewhere close to my Happy Ghast and Ghastling, maybe about here, like off to the side. So I'm just going to go out and fly over there and place some blocks about 40 or so blocks apart, which is kind of the size I was going for. Make sure I like that placement, take a step back, make sure it's not too close or too far. And yeah, if it looks good, I'm going to jot down the coordinates of the northwest corner, which is the top left on the map. I'm at what, 15033. So the 14990. No, I'm going the other three. 43. So like 73. Going the other way. So something like that. Let me take a step back. Let me take a look. Yeah, I think I'll give that just a bit more breathing room. So move it a bit over to the left. And what, we have to go about 40 blocks this way to get the top left corner. So that's 2,900. And we'll go to negative 2940 and go over just a bit to the left here. And let's go right about there. We'll jot down these coordinates here, negative 15080, negative 2940 for my reference. So now I'm back in my new pixel shape generator tool where I'll be planning out the 3 tiers of my cake. You can visit this app yourself at shapes.neongeode.com. Please do. I put a lot of work into making this generator as good as possible, and I would love your feedback. I have an entire video where I discuss the lore of my world, which is built around different shapes and different building styles. Please check that out too. But basically, I'm going to be using 3 different shapes for the tier, starting with a square on the bottom, a circle for the top tier, and then the middle tier will be a squircle, which is a shape kind of in between a square and a circle. So let's jump into the square tool. I mentioned it's going to be 14 times 3, which is 42 blocks wide. I'm going to set the size here to 41. You'll see in a minute why. And then I wanted this slightly rotated. So we're going to go to negative 10 degrees, just a little bit of rotation like we saw during the creative planning. And then one of my favorite features of this new tool I'm calling the pixel count bars, which when I switch that on, rather than having to count out each pixel individually, I can see for myself just kind of go like place 3 blocks, place 6, place 6, place 6, and just keep going. So kind of take my word for it here. If you add up all these numbers across the bottom, it adds up to 42, which is what I was going for. And so that's going to be the shape of our square. Another great feature of the tool here is this copy link button. So if I click copy link, it's going to give me a link to the shape. I can put it in Notepad or somewhere else so that I can always get back to what I've planned. I can give that link out to somebody else if I want them to take a look. So the next thing I'm going to do here is kind of click the pixels in the corner. So I'm going to click these pixels as a reference point for planning out the second tier, which is the squircle. So let me hop over to the squircle. We'll kind of do the same thing here. The size was 41. We had negative 10 degrees rotation. And now I'm going to make it a bit smaller. I'm going to go in 6, so 35. And then we get kind of right here our second tier of the cake, and we can see where it sits in relation to the first tier. Just going to mark a couple of the corners here to kind of help me out. And then with that said, I will jump into the circle for the third tier. Again, we'll go 6 more. So 35 minus 6 is going to be 29. And then we'll mark out we'll kind of mark out the corners of our circle here. Just some of the spots to give us a general idea of where that sits. And then on this top tier, I'm going to be planning out the locations for my 5 candles. So basically, I want the candles to sit a bit in. I don't want them all right in the middle. I don't want them too crowded. So maybe somewhere like here. And then we're going to do kind of a bit of a hack and go over to the polygon tool and do 5 sides for a pentagon. And then kind of luckily, already one of the points is right where I wanted it. So I can just mark out the other points of the pentagon here for my 5 candles. We'll switch back to the circle here to kind of take a look, and we have 5 candles laid out in the circle. And then, like I said, I can go into each of those 3 tiers, copy the link, put it in Notepad so I can get back to it. But the next thing I'm going to do then is to use those coordinates I jotted down. So this is kind of one of the nice features is that all these coordinates are kind of listed out here. But what I can do is I wanted, if you remember, I laid out the top left corner and I wanted that to be negative 15,080 and negative 2940. And with that, now it kind of maps all of those coordinates. So I am going to go back to my main world. And before I even get started building anything, I'm going to go in to each of these coordinates and place down a block, just so I don't have to come back and look at this. It's all kind of planned out for me. I know where all the corners are. All right, so I'm back at my creative island after laying out my plan. I ended up laying out the corners of the square, the locations of the 5 candles, and then laying out the entire squircle and the entire circle just so I don't mess things up when I get to those tiers. I ended up shifting everything slightly farther away, but it was really easy to remap in the tool. So now I'm going to go gather a whole bunch of resources, terracotta concrete, and then I'll be back to build the cake, which you can watch now in the form of a time lapse. All right, so that's the birthday cake complete, celebrating 5 years of My Forever World and 1 year of recording videos for YouTube. Again, make sure to check out my new shape generator. I'll be continuing to add new shapes, so please leave your feedback. The link is in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.